Hey VC, how's it going? Right, okay, this is a car boot sale video, so just random records that I picked up throughout the summer from car boot sales. We're getting to the end of the season now, so I think most car boot sales sort of wind up about the end of September. There will be a few that go on throughout the winter, but most of them are sort of finishing up around now. So I have made a couple of car boot sale videos previously throughout the summer. I'm not going to show anything that I've shown previously, so it's all different stuff. And I think some really nice stuff as well. So, right, so about a month or so ago, I picked up a small pile of 45s from a guy. This was at a car boot sale where there were loads of people looking for records. You see the same faces again and again, you know. And there was hardly any records there at all. But fortunately, I walked past a guy who was just putting out a small box of singles. Everything was £1. And I found these two. This is Trojan Explosion. This is an EP of reggae hits of the day from the early to mid 70s. Stuff like Bob and Marcia, Young, Gifted and Black, Greyhound, Black and White, you know, sort of thing. And another one of those as well. These things are normally dog-eared, so the records are clean. The sleeves are really nice, so that was cool for £1 each. And he mentioned at the time that he had another box of records in the car, but they're a bit more expensive. Now that's what I want to hear, you know, so hoping to find something half decent then. So he got a box out. It was all reggae, but it was all chart reggae. It was all, you know, those sort of pop hits from the mid 70s. Really clean copies, but he priced everything up, so everything was sort of £5 to £10. I didn't need them, so I left them behind. But there was one record in there, which is really nice. On the Fab label, Prince Buster and the All Stars, Julie on My Mind, backed by This Is a Hold Up. You can see somebody's written a name on it there, but the record's in great shape, lovely copy. I think I paid a tenner for that. And I will say, if I paid any more than £2 a record, I will say, I don't want to give the impression that I'm getting things for peanuts when I'm paying a bit more. But yeah, that cost me a tenner. Well worth that. You know, it goes for a fair bit more than that, but and a really nice copy as well.
This is a hold up. Ain't nobody move. This is Dallas, Texas.
And it just so happened that later on that morning, I did another once round the car boot. This is like an hour or two later. And he had another box of records out, which he didn't tell me about first time round. And all these were £3 each, or I think 4 for a tenner. So in there I had a nice DJ copy of Max Romeo, One Step Forward. Wonderful stuff, Lee Perry production. Nice bit of Lovers Rock produced by Dennis Bovell. Brown Sugar with our reggae music on Decca. But the real find that morning, as I say, this was at the front of the box. Don't know how long it had been sitting there. This is also on the Fab label by the Soul Tops. Baby I Got News. You know, a fantastic late 60s, little bit of rocksteady reggae. Yeah, really nice stuff. And yeah, that's quite an expensive record. So for £3, I was absolutely chuffed with that. Right, okay, last weekend, I had a great result last weekend. So I went to a very small local car boot. First thing I picked up was this, James Brown and his Hot album, mid-70s, I think about 75, 76. So this is best known for the opening track, which is called Hot, I Need to Be Loved, 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 which is James Brown totally nicking the riff from David Bowie's Fame. Now, I must admit, when I first heard this version by James Brown, going back to the mid-90s on one of those blaxploitation comps, I thought that his was the original and Bowie had lifted the riff. Well, it's not. He just blatantly lifted the riff from Bowie's original, but of course never credited him. Well, I think Fame's actually written by Bowie and John Lennon, isn't it? So he doesn't credit either of them on this. It's classed as a James Brown song, and he gets away with it. But it's a great version. Really nice record. I say mid-70s James Brown. Can't go wrong with that. Cost me £3. But then, I'd done it once around this small car boot. That was the only record that I'd seen. Thought I'd have a quick wander around again. And then I saw two blokes going through 4 boxes of records. So I was gutted, you know. So I'd obviously walked past this, and, you know, whether the records had come out after I'd gone past, I don't know. And they were pulling out proper, you know, piles of records, the two of them. Anyway, so I was third into the box. But for some reason, I left behind some interesting stuff. I had 12 LPs for 35 quid I paid. So the first thing was Eternity by Alice Coltrane. A little bit of wear to the sleeve, but the record's in great nick. And as I say, you know, for 3 quid at a car boot, you just don't see Alice Coltrane records. A nice copy of Enter the Dragon, the Lalo Schifrin soundtrack. A great soundtrack this is. One that I've never owned. Nice and funky, can't go wrong with that. I love all the sound effects on that as well, so very cool. Then there's just basic stuff in there, like I had the first 2 UB40 albums, really nice clean copies. A lovely copy of Replicas by Tubeway Army, which obviously includes stuff like Our Friends Electric and Down in the Park, but a great copy that is. And a bit of Bowie as well. The Tonight album, obviously not necessarily one of his best, but it does include Loving the Alien, so you can't go wrong with that. But the two guys in front of me had some great stuff. I saw the first guy on the top of his pile, he had a nice Dark Side of the Moon. The second guy I saw had an original Italian pressing of Suspiria, the soundtrack by Goblin. So I was half hoping he was going to put it back in the box, but he didn't. But one thing that both of them totally went past, God knows why, was a first UK pressing of Brighter Later, the second Nick Drake album. In absolutely fantastic condition. I played this several times in the last week since picking it up. Textured sleeve, you know, 3 quid from a car boot. God knows why they both passed on it, but yeah, I was incredibly fortunate to find that, so delighted with that. Okay, a friend that regularly sells at the car boot, he's there every week. He's got a massive record collection himself. If he gets doubles of things, he does sell them at a car boot. He prices them up, but he's always fair with his prices. A couple of weekends ago, I had this, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Let Love In. I have most of Nick Cave's albums, but I am missing a few of the early ones, so I was really pleased to find this. The sleeve does have a little bit of wear. The vinyl is in great condition, cost me 20 quid, really pleased, great price. Yeah, he did me a favour on that, so that was cool. And earlier in the summer, same chap sold me an original copy of Dr. Dre's The Chronic. Again, I paid up for this. I think this was the only record that I bought that day. I did pay 30 quid for this, but again, that is certainly worth that sort of money, and a nice pressing, still in shrink, and obviously just a classic, seminal hip-hop record from the early 90s. Was about 92, is it? Something like that? Yeah, great stuff. I play that quite a lot.
I felt you coming, girl, as you drew near. I knew you'd find me, 'cause I longed to hear. You're my destiny, is this how you'll appear? Wrapped in a coat with the tears in your eyes. Well, take the coat, babe, and throw it on the floor. Are you the one that I've been waiting for?
Right, okay, and just finally a few more 45s. At the beginning of the sort of car boot season, back in, I say probably April time, a friend of mine went to the car boot, and a guy turned up and put out 7 black bin bags just full of 45s, and it was all soul and funk, and there's loads of rare stuff in there. There's bootlegs, whatever, everything was in there. And he picked up a nice handful. But throughout the summer, I've been seeing some of the stuff that other people have pulled out, because I've been trying to sell it on to me for big money, you know. But I just wish I could have been there that day. Anyway, 3 months later, I recognised some of the records from that collection in just a small box. That whatever was left, it was a dregs, you know. And everything in there was wet, right? So the guy who was selling all the stuff, he got rid of all the good stuff. There's a box of records left. It obviously had a leak in his garage. Everything had got wet. It was mouldy. It was grim. It was miserable. But I'd seen, my mate had made a video of the stuff that had come out of this collection. I'd seen some of the stuff that came out, so I thought I've got to go through it, just on the off chance that there's anything any good in there, you know. So I spent a tenner. I had 28 singles and stuff like this. Nothing fantastic, but some nice 45s in there. Atmosphere, Dancing Out of Space, UK pressing, nice picture sleeve, don't see that about. Then stuff like the Meters, good old funky music, Rockin' Funky Watergate, Fred Wesley and the JBs on People. Now this was probably the find of the day. Samuel Jonathan Johnson with the track You, backed by My Music. Obviously he only made one album in the late 70s. This 45 is really hard to come by on Columbia. It's obviously on a major label, but still hard to come by. And it sounds great. I was a bit worried the fact that, you know, it was a bit mouldy, but cleaned up lovely. So if you can be bothered to go through mouldy records, sometimes it pays off. And finally, at that same pile as well, this is the Maharaba Band with a chap called Baba Bari on the B-side. That's the one that I really like. It's signed. I don't know. It's in a pile of records that I paid a tenner for 28 records, so it only cost me pence. But it's quite sought after, and I think it's a great tune. So I'll do a little drop on that. So that is a pile of car boot randomness from throughout the summer. So cheers.